Allie Myers, and we're here at the Squared Circle scene. And today we have an announcement, and this comes from our friend Keith Miller over from World's Finest Wrestling. And he would like to make an announcement on the whereabouts and what's going on over there in Connorsville. Go ahead, Keith.
Hey, so the first thing I want to do is thank you and Tyler for even letting me do this. I reached out to you guys because I know that you have a platform where I can do sort of a more longer form explanation of everything that happened and what we're looking forward to in the future, if there is any future. So basically, from the outside looking in, I guess World's Finest Wrestling looked like a pretty successful production. Like our crowds were growing, the fans were interested, the storylines were engaging. We were putting on really, really good athletic matches with, a good mix of talent. And that was the truth, but at the same time, that wasn't. I don't want to name names, so I'm not going to. But there were people, one person specifically in my life who may or may not have been involved in the company. I'm not going to go to that extent, but about a week before every show since we came back, which would be Homecoming back in last September, they would start coming up with reasons why we should cancel the show. And it would get more and more pressure on me to cancel the show up until the very last minute when, we do it. There'd be a lot of scrambling, there'd be finding money, there'd be, this and that and whatever. And we'd pull the show off and everyone was always paid and the fans left happy. And like I said, other than our Labor Day show, attendance was up every single event. And we had people who we had been using for a while who were draws. And then there were other people like Dion Freeman and Jacob Rose who were turning into legitimate draws for us. And Cassius Starr using Eric Draven. I think that was all helping us build. And I thought the women's event was going to be really what pushed us over the top. There was people coming in for that event from 3 different states that I knew of. We sold pre-sales, we sold sponsorship packages, which all had to be refunded. But I felt very, very confident that women's show was going to fill the building. This other person did not. So with that, which wasn't anything new, but we were dealing with that. And so then on top of that, before last month's event, well, I guess it would be before June's event now, we've kind of gotten to the conclusion that the local fire department called the state fire marshal because we did not have an Indiana Department of Homeland Security certificate. And from what I've gathered at this point, that is generally something that is taken care of by the building. But our building was not willing to take care of that. So we fronted the money for the Indiana Department of Homeland Security certificate so that we could continue to run in Connorsville. And then we were given a list of things that needed to be fixed in the building. It was only 4 things. It really didn't seem like that much of a fix to us. We were told that the building was responsible for all the fixing, but the building, before they even finished what they needed to fix in order to make the certificate that we already paid for a valid certificate, they wanted to up the rent $150 before anything was even done to the building. So there was that. And that got told to us 2 days before the show. We got told on Tuesday that they were going to do it. And then we got told on Thursday that it was going to happen starting on Saturday. And then on top of that, we got told that we needed to hire a fireman to be at the event because the certificate was not going to be valid. So, there's plenty of firemen who are wrestlers. There's plenty of fans who are firemen. I figured we'd get somebody to volunteer. Turns out that the local fire chief would only allow the firemen to come through him so that he could be paid $35 an hour. And then you would think that they'd only need to be there when the fans were in the building. Like, who cares if they're there while we're setting up the ring and stuff? But they needed to be there from the time we got into the building at 2:00 until we left, which was usually around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So $35 an hour times whatever that is, that is another expense that we got told about on Friday. So, or Thursday, I think it was. And then Friday. Yeah. So Thursday was when it happened. And, Tyler knows that we were trying to make arrangements to sort of cut the cost of the show down to make it plausible to still run. I mean, throwing $500 onto us the day before the event for an independent wrestling promotion, for some people that's not a lot, but for us that was like, wow, this could make or break us. But I was still confident that there was going to be 150 fans in that building. I was positive. But after going back and forth, I decided to not run. And if we weren't going to run, we were going to shut the show down, like the company down completely. It is what it is. I didn't feel confident enough that we could just come back after this would be the second show that we canceled within 2 days of the show running. And I didn't feel confident that we could just come back and still have the confidence of the wrestlers and the confidence of the fans. And especially when we were supposed to be doing this huge event that we had been promoting heavily and that we believed in. We had some of the best wrestlers in the world, men, women, whatever, on that event. Big Mama and Kenzie James and Riley Matthews are legitimately three of the best wrestlers in the freaking world. Ari Alexander, it's just, and some great up and comers, and it's sad that we didn't get to put that on and showcase them. But it just got to be too much for me, like legitimately, with the pressures from outside, constantly being told that we should cancel the event, the events, and then all the extra money being piled on right there at the end. It just seemed like it was too much. It was just too much for me, and I'll own that. The day after we went out of business, World's Finest Wrestling was sold. I had absolutely nothing to do with the sale, other than Tevin asked me. He said, "So if you're done, World's Finest is mine to do with as I please." And I said, "Sure." And he was like, "Okay, I'm selling it." And then he sold it. And that was the extent of the conversation. I understand that he needed money, and I get it. I feel like there should have been more of a discussion, and I feel like it shouldn't have been the next day. But at the end of the day, World's Finest was dead, and now it's not. And if he, the people who he sold it to are people who know the wrestling business and who I consider friends, family, honestly, brothers. So we'll see what they do with it. I mean, hopefully they respect what we built, and it gets to live on in some way. One of the things that sucks is, and this is just to show that, like, this was not intended. it's an example of how it wasn't an intended outcome. I had commissioned the guy who makes belts for Impact Wrestling to make us new belts, and he actually finished the Heritage title. So I have to pay for a new Heritage title for a company that I don't own anymore. So that's fun. But it's gonna be a really, really, really nice belt once it gets here. So
If
cool.
it were me, I would kind of hang that belt up, like put it in a
Yeah,
case and hang it up,
yeah. I'm
or
trying to think of what to do with it. That's sort of where the future goes, I guess, to a point. I mean, at this point, I think I have to ask the new owners of WFW if I can do this, but we're still planning to go ahead with the Best of the Midwest tournament, which, for those of you who don't know what that is, there's 12 geographical states in the Midwest. We held fan polls to pick a wrestler from each one of those states to come to Indiana or Ohio or wherever we, end up settling on for a 2-day tournament on Thanksgiving weekend to figure out who is the best wrestler in the Midwest. Now, 12 doesn't really work out well for a tournament style, so we added 4 wild cards. And so that's still happening. And initially, and that's happening because that wasn't really a WFW thing. That was my own separate thing that I'm also doing with Future Talent of Wrestling and some other people. We've got some sponsors and stuff for that. So that's still happening. Like, I wasn't going to pull out of that. Like I said, it's not a WFW thing, but I'm thinking about giving whoever wins the tournament the belt. Even though it says World's Finest Wrestling on it, it's still the Midwest Heritage title. And that's kind of what we're trying to decide. It's who the best wrestler is in the Midwest. So since it's basically a deluxe version of the belt that the new owners have, I think I probably have to ask them if I can just give it to someone. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of separate from the sale of the company. So I don't know. We'll just see. I have to have a discussion. But either way, the Best of the Midwest tournament is still happening. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as wrestling goes right now. After Thanksgiving, we'll see what things look like. I've had a lot of people contact me and tell me that I shouldn't let this, push me out of the business, and that they still respect me and they still love me and they still want to work for me. I've had people tell me that awesome, baby. Sorry, my son's talking to me.
oh, you're good.
It's cool. He's gone now, but he's out playing basketball kind of next to me. But
Oh,
yeah. But after the Best of the Midwest, I'll sit down, I'll think about it. I'm not coming back anytime soon, honestly. But I'm excited about the Best of the Midwest tournament. And I, appreciate the fact that there's people who want me to not quit and want, I think I treated people well. I think I paid people pretty well. I think that I'm pretty creative. I think that I have all of that stuff going for me. I think that someone told me that Jay Silva told me that my locker rooms are like a family barbecue, and that's awesome, because that's the kind of environment that I think makes people want to work for you. But I'm kind of burnt out right now, so we'll just see what happens after that.
well, I guess
I
I'm curious on that point. So
Yeah,
like I know that you're on your break, you're kind of thinking things over, kind of burnt
right,
out from it. But if you did decide to go back to it,
yeah.
if not a GM, would there be any other positions that you'd be interested in just so that you have that connection with wrestling if you wanted it?
Okay, so here's the weird thing. There's actually, right after WFW went out of business, I was contacted by possibly the biggest wrestling company in Indiana. I'm going to say, at the very least, the biggest wrestling company in central Indiana, about a position with them. I haven't talked to them, honestly. Like, I told them that I needed time, but I'd give them a call. And their exact words were, "We have a spot for you, We just need you to call us so we can figure out what that looks like. So I may not be completely gone. It's it's the kind of thing that like a lot of my friends work there. A lot of great talent works there. I have a lot of respect for the guy who runs the company and what he does too. It's an awesome organization. So it's not something that I just want to dismiss. But at the same time, it's like, man, okay, so do you know Heels, the show on Stars?
Yeah.
Okay. So the season premiere was the Friday after we canceled our show. And I watched it and it just bummed me out, man. And I have to get some excitement back and I have to get some love back. And I don't know how easy that's going to be right now because these last, what has it been, 8 months since we've come back? Almost a year, honestly. Wow. 10 months since we've come back to Connorsville have drained me. They just have. And I know it didn't seem like it, but I think I kind of look like it. So, yeah, it's just hard. It's hard to even think about right now. But then I'll get these moments like I'm constantly booking. I'm constantly thinking about like what are some amazing matchups out there, you know? I'm constantly wondering what people are going to do with Bryant Huff because Bryant Huff is a freaking superstar and he's so underutilized. And that tag team of him and Logan Myers could be the biggest thing on the independent wrestling scene if people would book them as a tag team. And that's the kind of stuff like Tice, T.Y. Ice has come so far in the last 3 years. He should be booked in main events now. Like he really should. And I don't think anybody was giving him main event spots but me. And so I wonder about that stuff. Like what's going to happen to these guys when I'm not there to freaking champion them? It's just a lot. You know, I mean, it's a lot and it keeps me up at night sometimes, man. And so I don't
Well,
know if
I guess that shows kind of like what kind of passion you have for the business or had, or you know what I mean?
yeah,
When it's
yeah,
still something you constantly think about, even though you're like, oh my gosh, I'm over this.
yeah,
So basically, it boils down to the financial aspect, and then the situation around the building and the state of the building. Which
yeah,
I've been to that building a couple of times before, and
yeah.
I thought the gymnasium part of it was really nice.
Yeah, it was silly stuff. Like the padlocks have to be taken off the interior doors. They need to get covers for their exit signs. They needed updated inspection on their fire extinguishers, and they needed to run a fire drill. That was it. Like that was legitimately it. And the only thing that I could think of that they couldn't do on their own would be to inspect the fire extinguishers. But they said that they were hiring a professional company to come in and do all of it. So it was crazy. Like, yeah, it was just crazy. It didn't make any sense to me, what they were doing, you know? Um,
I guess what doesn't make sense is like because normally things like this, obviously, it takes time to put these shows together, a lot of hard work to put shows together. So it almost baffled me when I seen that it was just right at the last minute, just like, oh, by
yeah,
the way, you have to have this. Oh
yeah,
yeah, by the way, you have this,
yeah,
and it's like, wait.
yeah. I kind of feel like I don't know. I've talked to some people in town, and it's all just conjecture. You know what I mean? But Matt from the newspaper, the editor of the newspaper, was amazing. He put us on the cover of the paper twice. He really championed our shows. He came out to every one. Um, nice, baby. But I also feel like the town sort of turned on us for some reason. You know, it's just weird. Like I don't go to school, but I don't really know like what happened. I don't really understand.
I
Um,
don't either because like I said, I've attended those shows there and it
yeah,
always pulled like a pretty decent crowd. So it's
right,
like
right.
that doesn't make any sense as to why they'd be like, oh, we don't want you here anymore. It seems kind
Yeah,
of
it's
odd.
all kinds of strange. Like somebody told me that they think it was just a money scam, like that the people who run, and I don't know any of this. You know what I mean? This is all
Yeah.
just things we're saying. Like, obviously, the fire chief wanted money, or else he would have just let the firemen who we found be there. You know, so
Yeah.
obviously, like, I think his whole motivation of calling the alerting the state from alerting the state to all the stuff that he did, I think that was strictly to put some extra money in the fire department's pocket. Man, that's just what I think. Um, and I'm not alone in that thought. And then as far as the people with the building, this was the second time that they tried to up the rent. And the first time we found a way out of it, we figured out a way around it because that's kind of what we do. We solve problems.
Hmm.
Um, but then this second time, there really wasn't any way that we could be like, well, don't make the changes. I offered to do it myself multiple times. Like I was literally removing some padlocks and putting up some pieces of plastic and having six people be in there and go, those are the fire exits. Let's go outside. Okay, that's what we do if there's a fire, and then go back inside. And then they would have to sign the piece of paper. Literally, the only thing that I couldn't have done was inspect the fire hydrants. Um, but I actually know people who are licensed to inspect fire hydrants, and I probably could have had someone come over and do it. Like people at my job, there's people at my job who are licensed to inspect fire, or not fire hydrants, fire extinguishers. Um, so I could have done all of it for basically nothing, and they just didn't want to hear it. So I kind of think that they either wanted us out for some reason, which doesn't make any sense, or wanted an excuse to up the rent on the building. I think it was one or the other. And it's just crazy. Like you said, like we drew pretty good crowds there. And we were drawing more. Like I said, every show the crowd was either up or right at the level where it was the show before. Um, so other than Labor Day, which that could have been awesome, could have not. but
And
but
and
either
that
way, like, what's that?
oh, I was just saying, and that's rough because like it seems like, as of right now, prices at every building seem really high. So it like
Yeah,
sucks when you think you found the one and then they have to up it
yeah,
on you for whatever
yeah,
reason.
yeah. No doubt, no doubt. I mean, everything's high right now. It's just
Oh
kind
yeah.
of the facts of life at the moment. But but yeah, I mean, I really just want to apologize to the fans and the wrestlers. We had guys booked until October, so they lost 3 months of bookings right at the last minute. The ladies lost bookings the day before, um, and the fans have in Connersville have always been supportive of us. We had the same fans from town come every single event for the last 5 years. So that that's awesome. And the fact that the crowd was growing, they were telling people in town about it. More people from town were coming, but we were also getting people from Indianapolis and Dayton and other places driving to see us. So I'm sorry. I can't really say enough how sorry I am. What's up, buddy? Oh, I don't know, sweetheart. They're probably by the bed. But sorry. But
Oh, you're good.
yeah, it's just I can't say enough how sorry I am. And that's the thing, like the images that we're going to be left with, which is Empire forming and Big Mama and Storm celebrating and Jake winning the belt and all the good guys coming out of the locker room and celebrating with him and me celebrating a little bit with him and it's just those are good moments, but Apollo winning the Heritage title and then having a successful title defense. But it's not how it was supposed to end, and it just kind of sucks for everybody that we're never going to get to see it,
What Crocs on in sport mode?
I don't even know what that means, but with Crocs on in sports mode, I would think that he had to have really, really good handles to be able to play in Crocs.
And then he had a backpack on with his basketball on it. Then he had a hoodie on. He was like walking like he's injured, and he had his basketball shoes in his other.
I don't know, that'd be crazy. All right, sorry.
That was cute. I was like, oh, that's
Hope everybody
legitimate
enjoys
question.
my son's little basketball thing there.
It was cute.
Thanks. He's a good kid. But yeah,
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think for those of us who have, as a fan that has been following you guys for a while, I think most people are going to be really understanding. Most of us know that sometimes life happens, things are out of our hands, out of control, and I think a lot more people than you realize are still cheering you on. I mean, you were just talking about it earlier, how everybody's like, hey, don't give up. You should continue to pursue your love for wrestling. So I just, as a fan, I want you to know, I think everything's going to be okay in the long run, and it's all right.
I appreciate that a lot, honestly, because I feel like my reputation is one of the things that I've fought to maintain in wrestling, and I feel like it's taken a hit in the last year, and it's just hard. So
But I think that also shows what kind of fight you got, though.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And you guys are 100% invited to the Best of the Midwest. If you're not doing anything on Thanksgiving weekend, please come out.
Hell yeah. If there's like an invite or directions to it, we're game.
We're gonna announce the building at the end of the month, so we will know by the last week of August exactly where we're having it. There's a few locations that we're looking into. We just want to make sure that wherever we pick is optimal, because it's going to be a big deal. I want it to be a big deal. It's people coming from 12 different states, to show that they're the best wrestler in the Midwest, and it should be a big deal. I don't think anybody's done anything like this in this area ever. So the East Coast and the West Coast have big tournaments. I don't think the Midwest has ever had a big tournament that brought people from all over to the Midwest. I think I'm the first one to try to pull it off. Well, we're the first ones, me and Bobby. It's not just me, but.
So is it something similar to like how the women's show is set up, like tournament wise, where it's like, this person against this person, and then the winner would take on the next? Is it kind of like the brackets?
Yeah, it's going to be 2 nights though. So the first night will just be because it's 16 wrestlers. So the first night will be 8 wrestlers, or 16 wrestlers, 8 matches. And then after that, it'll be the next day will be it go down to 8, 4, 2, and then the finals. So yeah, that's I think both nights you'll get about 8 matches every night, I believe, is what it's going to come out to. So
I'm game. I'm going to look into that.
It's going to be fun. We haven't really announced who all has won the polls yet. I mean, if you had followed them on Facebook, you would know, but we did them a while ago. So a couple months back. But we're getting graphics made up to announce all the people who won and who won the polls and who's representing different regions and stuff. It's like I said, I think it's going to be cool. It's going to be like what ECWA does with Super 8 and stuff like that. Just for the Midwest. So I think it's going to be a good time.
Hell yeah. I'm game. I'm going to get info on that and watch it.
Awesome. Nice. But yeah, I will keep everybody updated as far as what I'm doing next. right now I'm just kind of being a dad and working my butt off. That's pretty much where I'm at the moment. But
Well, you know what? Maybe this is your time to recuperate and get the thoughts together, and then, like you said, see where it goes from there. And
yeah,
maybe that flame will come back eventually.
I hope so. I'm a creative person and I need a creative outlet. So it's
I feel
hard
that.
to not be able to
Tyler and
be
I both
creative
feel that.
anymore. Yeah, this is hard, but yeah, I just, thank you guys, and thanks to everyone who has supported me, supported us, supported World's Finest Wrestling these last few years. And I hope that we entertained you and you had fun. And like I said, keep an eye out for the new WFW. It's in good hands. I think that you guys will like what you see from it. So
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for it, see what's going on there. Tyler and I want to let you know that we appreciate you. Thank you for entertaining us. Thank you for allowing us to see things from like your guys' perspective on the other side of that ring. Absolutely love it. And we appreciate hearing from you. And thank
thanks.
you
I
so much
appreciate that.
for being on our show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I mean, I want to thank my partner Tevin. Started out as my right hand guy doing concessions and just running around and getting whatever I needed. I want to thank Chris Young, who was our security guy most of the time, and Bradley Earlywine, who was there too. Jade, our freaking door girl, she did so much more than that. Like I couldn't have done the shows without her. Like she was amazing. Just the people behind the scenes who you don't really see, like who you didn't necessarily get acknowledged. Tim Ryder Strong, who was just starting to get on the events after doing like getting gear and running sound and just doing whatever we needed him to do for the last 5 years. He was just starting to work as a manager, and he's actually was getting better at it. I mean, he'd only done it a couple of times, but I think he was on to something. So I hope that he finds another place to hone his craft. And his wife Alina, who came along and helped out with gear and stuff. Brandy Stewart, who helped out a lot in the early days, and and aside from that, just all the talent that ever stepped foot in our ring, wherever that journey took us as people, whether you worked for us right until the last day or you went somewhere else. Thank you. And every fan who ever bought a ticket or shared a post or told a friend or wore a shirt, thanks.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for sitting and talking with us. And things happen. And I really do hope that your spark comes back because, like you said about being a creative mind, like Tyler and I really, really enjoyed your shows. So, and we're actually getting ready to hit up a couple of other independent spots. TJ Kemp has a spot in Greenfield, and he's
Awesome.
offered us a seat up there. We still run around with New Era Wrestling still as well.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
maybe we'll run into you somewhere when
Yeah,
that spark comes back.
You never know.